Hello and welcome to the Eurowhite, episode number 74 for the week of January 27th, 2020. I'm Ben Smith and I'm joined today by Mike McComb. Hey Mike.
Hello.
We are a pair of Americans trying to make sense of the Eurovision Song Contest, and this week we'll be talking about the lead-up to selection season. How's it going, Mike?
It's going well. How about that semifinal allocation?
How about that semifinal allocation? It happened and there were selections.
Yeah, they pulled out that one ball and I was screaming. It was, Oh my God. Yeah.
Yep. It may be a little too soon to do this, but can we just play the sad trombone from The Price is Right for that one selection?
Oh, yeah. That's going to be a tough road to hoe for, So we are recording this on Monday evening.
Anything can happen. We are not allowed to watch it because it's geo-blocked in the US. Well, we are allowed to watch it, but it's just very difficult.
I'm guessing that Eurovision just has this blanket, no watchy for you, USA. I don't know, but yeah, it's really good because I don't know what sort of copyright issues there could be for international bingo, but it's their circus. They can run it however they please.
Yes.
Yeah. But by the time you hear this, the semifinal allocation will have happened. We'll know which countries will be performing in the first semifinal and which will be performing in the second semifinal. It'll be happening. The actual allocation draw happened earlier today as you're listening to this, or I guess earlier yesterday. I don't know. Time zones are weird.
Time zones are weird. I'm going to find it very funny if just through allocation, one of the semifinals is somehow all boys, continuing last week's theme of many boys. But it feels like a distinct possibility at this moment where we don't know anything.
Oh, man, that did not occur to me, and that could totally happen, and I will laugh.
Just, oh, no, everybody in this first semifinal sent a boy wearing a hat.
Oh, man.
How will we tell them apart?
Vote for your favorite hat at Eurovision.tv.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. But in terms of what else we do know, one of the changes this year, they've gone down from 6 pots of bingo balls to 5. I'm not sure what this change was. Maybe just to make things a little bit spicier and add a little bit more randomization. It's a new decade.
It's time for new numbers because it feels like all of the various semifinals that are remaining relatively rigid in format are just instead of 10 this year, we're going to have 8. Mm-hmm. So I guess instead of 6 pots this year, we'll have 5.
Yeah, and there's not really a lot to glean.
There's some geographical stuff because there's one I was going to call them buckets, but no, there's one pot that is the Balkans and also Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
And Austria's in there too. Austria, there's one that's the Nordic countries plus Australia, which is essentially a Nordic country, just given their level of excellence. I feel like when Hatari made the thing for Kate Miller-Heidke, they officially became a Nordic nation.
Swing that hammer,
yes.
know?
Yes.
And then there's also a bucket that's all former SSRs, so that's interesting and not really that much of a surprise because they do tend to vote for one another, except for Armenia and Azerbaijan, but we won't get into that.
But that's a whole thing that has a Wikipedia page, and you can read that. There's one that I just sort of grouped as Watch This Space because it's Bulgaria and Cyprus and Greece and Malta and Portugal, Romania and San Marino who are all doing interesting things in one way or another.
Interesting and mostly good. They're the ones to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of a grab bag of everybody else.
Just sort of we've packed all the other buckets very carefully, and then these are the ones that are left, so we have one more bucket, and they all go into that. Hooray!
Woo!
Yeah.
Yes. And really, this doesn't make a whole bunch of difference, except, as we discovered in last year's contest, where if a jury ends up getting excused between the semifinal and the grand final, how the rest of that country's bucket votes will determine, there was a whole math thing and backwards Excel sheets and stuff, but I guess bookmark this page later in case there are shenanigans down the road.
I mean, hopefully, if nothing else, last year they have made the form easier to use and easier to tell which ones are the ones that you like and which ones are the ones that you do not like when voting.
Mm-hmm. And that the jury should maybe keep things under their hat before.
All of the juries are getting a very stern talking to by their delegations to go, hey, how about you don't talk to the press about the exact way that you voted? That would be lovely.
All of the semifinal allocation stuff, well, I guess we won't have everything on our website, but we will reorganize things. And that's what I'm looking forward to, because there's just, I don't know, going through a list of 41 things is kind of a pain. But if we have it broken up into like smaller groups of less than 20.
Into two small groups of around 20. It's very nice. We are moving towards a point where, just given numbers, roughly a song a day, if that were how Eurovision songs worked.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're at like 0.7 artists a day at this point.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, about right, yeah. Anyways, Finland has announced their whole deal. So after a few years of doing UMK with one artist and a few songs and having that go, in general, they've decided to go back to the old way of doing things, which seems wise.
I agree. Yeah. I'm glad this format is back to how it was, because it's just nice to have a little bit more variety in the mix.
Yeah. Anyways, they are doing sort of a slow rollout of artists and songs of one per day, although they have given us the full list of artists and songs, but we only get to hear things one per day. So far, we have heard from Tika, who is singing I Let My Heart Break, Erika Vikman, who is singing Cicciolina, and Axel Cancarante, who is singing Looking Back. The remaining entries from F3M, who are singing Bananas, Szansa, who is doing Loverview, and Katarina Zulka, who is singing Eternity, will be released Wednesday through Friday of this week.
Yeah, have you had a chance to listen to any of the ones that have already dropped?
I have listened to all of them. Of the three, I'm digging Cicciolina the best. Like, it's up-tempo, it's got some fun, like, ravey kind of synthy things going on. The lyrics are very horny when you translate them from the Finnish.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah, like, I was like, oh, this is an interesting choice to keep this in Finnish, and then I looked up what the things mean. I was like, oh, this is why they're doing that, because if this was in English, well, if it was in English, it would also be getting attention, because, again,
the song's really filthy, y'all.
The song is dirty. But it's fun. And then, like, of the other two, I like Tika's I Let My Heart Break a little bit more, because the other two are kind of ballady.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard rumors of Bananas, and I look forward to joining the club that has heard it. But I am also very afraid that if that is a fun up-tempo bop and Cicciolina is definitely bop-ish, that they're going to cancel one another out, and we're going to get stuck with one of the ballads.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember, does UMK do a super final, or is it just like the raw vote from the 6?
I do not recall, and I feel like that they've gone back and forth between doing one and not doing one, so anything could be in play.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, it seems like they've been doing so much retooling lately. I don't know. Well, fingers crossed. And
fingers crossed. Good on you, Finland. I'm excited about the rest of this crew of songs.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I guess the next big crew of songs is Czech Republic.
Yes.
I'm very excited about.
Time for like a final check-in before they decide their entry. I love that pun so much.
Yeah.
Every single time. They have like a nice little set of 7 songs, and it's like the first set of songs that we've had time to sit with and think about, so I thought it would be nice to kind of sit down and talk about them in a little bit more detail than we've been talking about general selections, because it's the first one where we've had everything, so let's do it. So the first one on the docket is Barbara Machoa with White and Black Holes.
Day or night, there's no real sign. I'm drifting, but staying true. Drifting time.
Mike, what did you think of this one?
Okay, so you know how much I loved Barbara's entry last year.
Yes, yeah, like it had real good Lana Del Rey vibes.
Yeah, like this song is total Mike Nip. I love everything about it. Like this, like whatever she is selling, I will be buying. Like I'm just so excited about this song. I do not want this to go to Eurovision. I'm not sure how you can stage this song.
Agreed. Like, I like this one, but I think it takes a little bit too long to get set up and going in a way that you need a Eurovision song to be set up and going.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's so ethereal, which I think is what I'm responding to the most. But much like last year's entry, and this is something that I recall you bringing up, where there was a longer version that was like longer than the 3-minute version. And it just was allowed to breathe a little bit more. And I think this is another one where if it was like a 5-minute track, and who knows, there could be a 5-minute version of this
Mm-hmm.
one. It would just be phenomenal. But this one is a tricky one as a Eurovision entry.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that it has been brought into my life, and
Mhm.
I really wish that they would just like send this to college radio stations in the US and just be like, oh, this would get so much play on college radio.
But no, like this is real good, and like it feels like it doesn't really kick off for about a minute, and
Mhm.
like I want the radio edit version of this where it does a little bit more at the end, but also gets to that exciting part like almost immediately, because it needs to if it's going to be on the Eurovision stage, I think.
Yeah, and like really the ending part is what gives me the most concern, because there's like this very strong note at the end, but it's not quite a power note, and then there's just music at the end of the song, like it's not a sharp cutoff, and it's just like, what can you do with like that last 10 seconds?
Mhm.
And like I could see this kind of being in the same spot that ethno jazz band Iriau was in a couple years ago, where it's just like, technically it is fantastic, but
Yeah.
nobody's paying attention to this. Everybody's checking their phones or going to the bathroom, and it's like, no, give this the attention it deserves.
Well, yeah,
And
like this is
yeah.
like I like this song, but I also do not like it for as a Eurovision choice. My life is better for experiencing this song, but also
Yes.
not in May, please.
Right. So the next entry that we have is from Benny Cristo and his song Que Mama.
I wasn't born like that. I just work like that. 24/7. Game on, you know. They can say what they want, you should let it go. Cause tonight I will show love. I show them I can dance on my own.
What do you think of this one, Ben?
Let's see. So there are 2 songs in this Czech final that have this sort of vibe to them, and I think this is the more successful of the 2. It feels more authentic for some definition of authentic. But there's something a little too generic about this. Like I would hear it in the background of like a club scene on like a Law and Order, where it's nice and it kind of does its thing for 3 minutes, but it doesn't really have choruses or verses. It just kind of does its thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's not a lot of rise and fall.
Yeah,
to
like
this one.
it's at like a 7 for like 3 minutes rather than anything super dynamic.
I gotta be honest, I'm going to be biased in favor of this one just because like people of color at Eurovision is such a rarity.
Like, I would
that-
absolutely, I would absolutely love that from that
Yes,
perspective.
and I mean, I think this is so different from what we typically see at Eurovision, which is exciting and fun. And I think of the 7 entries, this one might have. I won't be as bold to say that, but this is one that has really strong staging potential. Like I could see them working with a lot of different ideas on this one.
There is like a nice blank canvas aspect to it as far as staging goes.
And there's a pretty clear story to the song, which I think is pretty relatable. I would not be disappointed if this one was the one that was chosen. And really, I should just say that for like all of these. Like,
yeah, like this is a very good
fantastic
crop.
I won't be mad if this one wins.
One that I think I am very curious to see your take on it, Mike, is the next one. So Ellis Miraz featuring Sis T's Wanna Be Like.
My baby, take it or leave it. I wanna be like, ooh, 'cause I wanna pull it out. And you come in like, ooh, ooh, baby, turn around. And this is what I do, baby, this is what I like. I feel like it too, I wanna be like, ooh, 'cause I wanna pull it out. And you come in like, ooh, ooh, baby, turn around.
So I saw a clip of the video before actually listening to the song, and my reaction was, "Oh my!" It's just like, oh, there's just so much twerking, and it's just like very, I don't know, kind of Meghan Trainor
That is
vibes.
that is my
instantly.
exact notes, and that's why I do not like this one. Is that it just feels like Meghan Trainor trying to do reggaeton, and I do not like that.
See, I think like giving it a few more listens, I'm a little bit more charitable about it. Like this definitely has Slavic Girls energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not of the same style, but it does have that just kind of it's very tongue in cheek. But my concern with this one is it feels very of the moment, but I'm not sure what the shelf life is for a song like this.
Yeah, I was just about to say yes, it's of the moment, but like, how long is that moment going to last?
Yeah, and it's got to last at least 3 months. And are people going to be interested in this song 3 months from now? Because it can be very generic in that way. But I think this would be a really fun stage performance.
I agree with you there. I think that the staging for this one could be fun. This one is also just still on the bottom of my list.
It does not surprise me. I believe you, as we were getting ready to record, you said there was one that you wanted to salt the earth from where it came.
Yes, yeah. That would
was
be
it
this
this
one.
one?
Just like, I do not mind this kind of song, but also there's just like, this just reeks of Meghan Trainor, and I will not allow that in this house.
Yeah. Well, when she's the first USA representative at Eurovision, like you're going to have to allow
I am moving to
it.
Canada. Oh, we are going to send her, though. Ugh. This is why Jan Olason won't let us in.
Uncle Jan knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So.
He has our best interests in mind.
The next entry on the list comes from Karel and his song, At Least We've Tried.
Only yesterday we had it all. We've learned to fly, now we crawl. But now that we're saying goodbye, at least we both know that we've tried. At least we've tried.
What are your thoughts on this one, Ben?
I've heard this song on every single season of American Idol, and I'm good.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's fine, but I feel like there is nothing fresh about this. There's nothing, like, it would feel like a step down for what the Czech Republic has been sending.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this one to me felt like a combination of the male ballads that were at Australia Decides last year.
Mm-hmm.
I thought both of those songs were fine, and this is like fine times 1.5, 1.8, something like that. I won't be mad if this is what wins, but I'm not excited about it.
Yeah, I'm not excited about it. I think that there are stronger choices in this. But again, like everything in this final is good.
Yeah, it's just good, but it's just not what I want. So
it doesn't feel fresh. It doesn't, like, I didn't hear it and go, yes, this sounds like what a winner sounds like at Eurovision 2020.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of what a winner sounds like in 2019. And I think that maybe its biggest drawback, where it's just like, okay, this is the arcade entry.
This is the arcade of this set.
I really want the winner to not be a clone of last year. So, and I mean, like, overall.
Next up is Olga Lenova's Dark Water.
In dark water, shadows never last. Hold me in dark water till I forget the past. Let the universe collapse in dark water.
Just talking about things that are Eurovision-y. This one feels Eurovision-y, and yet I like it. I like it a lot. Like, it feels like it has the tightness that Barbara Machoa's song doesn't quite have. It feels like it has interesting staging possibilities, just because there's like a whole drowning thing that's like, it's kind of quietly goth.
Mm-hmm. Listening to it yesterday while I was like walking home from the bus stop, yeah, I was just thinking, oh, like, are they going to be able to pull off some sort of really cool water effect on the stage?
Just
Like,
give me
don't really
Ophelia.
drown her, please.
Yeah, give me like full Ophelia, but don't actually drown her.
Right. Yes. I totally agree that this does feel like the most Eurovision-y of these choices, which kind of gives me pause, but it's very well executed. And it reminds me a lot of Norway's 2016 entry Icebreaker, just in terms of like the story it's trying to tell, its overall structure. But I think this is a more refined version of that entry.
Well, yeah, and like this one is super hooky because like immediately after listening to it, I had like its main chorus bit in my head.
Yeah, I mean, I could see this one possibly being a dark horse. Yeah, or getting a lot of jury support.
Yes.
And yeah, and I think that's, I mean, the way the selection's set up, I think jury support's going to play a big role. Like, you don't necessarily have to get 12s from all the jurors, but yeah, you're going to have to be in the jury's top 3, and I think it's going to have to be top 3 across the board. So the next one is another alum from last year's selection. It's Pam Rabbit with Get Up. I'm very curious what your thoughts are on this one, Ben.
I wanted to like it more than I did. Like,
Okay.
It feels like it's very much in my wheelhouse. It's got pop, but also kind of indie electro things going on, and yet just something about the combo of the backing and the vocals just never quite does it for me. Like, it ended up towards the bottom of my rankings when I did some.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that surprised me. But like, I think similar to Corel, there are other things. Like, it's well executed for what it is, but I think that there are just other stronger songs in this batch of 7.
Okay. Yeah, this one is probably the biggest earworm for me of the bunch, and I really enjoy the electronic aspects of this. It feels like a refined version of Walking Out, Armenia's entry from last year, which is probably both a pro and a con, like, because I really liked Walking Out last year. Nobody else seemed to. Like, it did not do well in its semifinal, and if this is just a retread of that. I mean, it's even like using some of the same metaphors, like talking about crowns and such.
Well, yeah, and like the second that you mentioned that, the second, like, oh yeah, no, I can totally map Walking Out onto the structure of this song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree with your concerns about the backing vocals and the front vocals, where it's a little messy in parts, and I think, like, if this were to win and it got like another studio pass and had a little bit more technical work put into it, it could be something really nice. But it's an interesting choice. And this is another one where it's like, I'm so glad this is in my life. Really, I'm glad that all of these are in my life. Like, all of these songs are now in my main Spotify, not just on the Eurovision playlist. So,
And then, of course, we have We All Poop at the end here with All of the Blood, parentheses, positive song, actually.
All the blood that runs while this show is still on. I try not to see while I'm having fun. Take my eyes away, and it's gonna be alright.
So I do love that parenthetical at the end of this, the positive song, actually. Because admittedly, I saw a band named We All Poop, and I saw a song named All the Blood, and I was like, okay, cool, this is going to be metal, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised that it's not. I'm not sure I love what they're doing with the visuals of this song. Like, they are stretching for like an animal rights metaphor that I'm not sure that they are hitting with the video for this. But like, the song, the more I listen to it, the more I like it. I'm still not sure I want a band named We All Poop to win, just because purely as a podcaster, I want to stop saying We All Poop on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it is a fact, but also every time I do a ranking, it like creeps up one position. It has not hit number 1 yet, but like, I feel like I keep saying this with this group 7. I wouldn't be mad about any of these. I would be slightly disappointed with Wanna Be Like, but like, any of these is a solid entry for the Czech Republic.
The song is also creeping up on my list. I was having a little difficulty like trying to pin down the style or references to other artists, and I landed on like Arctic Monkeys or like UK pop rocks, sort of circa 2008. Like, Kaiser Chiefs or Hard-Fi.
Like that's definitely in that space.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's a space that I really enjoy occupying. So it's like, all right, I'm on board with this. And I think this one also has a lot of interesting staging potential. I mean, it's so tricky with bands, because sometimes, like, if they just want to be on stage playing their instruments, like that, it's not the most dynamic television performance. But and it's also tricky because Czech Republic sent a band last year, so maybe they want to try to send something different. But I think this one is in my top 3. I still haven't figured out which one I'm going to vote for, because we're able to vote in this one, Ben.
Yeah. So. No, like, I would say my top 3, and again, like, the order keeps subtly switching. I think Okolonova has been solidly my number 1 every time I've voted, and then it's number 2 and number 3 are somewhere between Barbara Machoa and We All Poop.
I think my 3, and like, part of it is like my thinking. I'm trying to think of the overall thing, because I would like Czech Republic to win, or really make a go for it this year. And I think their best shot is going to be with We All Poop. Sorry, Ben. We All Poop, Okolonova, or Benny Cristo. And this is going to be a really exciting selection, I think, because I'll be curious to see if like the international jury is like has full consensus on this, or if they're going to be all over the place, which I could see that being a possibility. So Good job, Czech Republic.
Good work,
Very
Czech
excited
Republic.
about
Like,
this.
even if this is not the year, keep doing this level of work, and very soon.
Yeah, keep showing up all of these other countries that are sending like these just. Well, we'll get into that in a bit. So, I have thoughts about Norway.
Oh man, I also have thoughts about Norway.
Yes, but before we get to that, I got a couple more selection things to discuss. Denmark, their radio contest that they opened last week closed out on Friday, and the 3 winners from the selection are Ben and Tan with the song Yes, Kenny Durlund with the song Forget It All, and Sander Sanchez with the song Screens. Ben, have you had a chance to listen to any of these? I know they weren't really readily available on Spotify last we spoke.
Yeah, I have. This is like the one country that announced things this week that I had not checked in with.
Denmark's upping their game this year. Like,
oh, good.
I mean, I think one of my notes about like all 3 of the songs is like, oh, these are all radio friendly. And it's like, yeah, of course they're going to be radio friendly. It was for a radio contest.
The first phase of this was entirely radio based. Of course they're radio friendly.
But it's making me very optimistic for what the auto qualifiers were and like how the rest of this process is going to play out. Because I think all 3 of these songs are quality songs and such a contrast to last year's field, which I thought was very So.
Yeah, last year's Danish field was a little bit weak. I'm also just very amused by the thought of like one of the entries in this phase of things being radio unfriendly.
Yes.
just like 2 pop songs and then one song that is essentially just 3 minutes of Lou Reed's Metal Machine music.
Yeah.
And it got through.
Woo!
Yeah.
The other thing that happened on Monday, Belarus had their live auditions for all of the acts that they shortlisted. Well, not really a short list. There were 49 acts auditioning. Oh, goodness. 49 acts. They've cut them down to 12. The running order draw is also happening on Tuesday. So we'll know where those 12 participants will be performing. Good luck to them.
Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk about what happened last weekend.
Yes.
The 2 main items on the TV schedule are still Norway and Lithuania. So let's start with Norway. How about that 3rd semifinal? Remember, like, 2 weeks ago when I was very excited that they had expanded things?
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm just like, maybe it's good that you guys do an internal thing where we only see 10 of these. Because it was rough.
Yeah.
Like, this was not my favorite week.
Yeah, I don't know if I've had a favorite week yet. Like, it seems like there's very clearly one winner in each of these foursomes, and
yeah,
and I think it's been the correct one to advance out of every foursome.
The main thing I've noticed, and maybe this is just my VPN connection while I'm watching the NRK Direct feed, but I can tell which one's going to win by which one turns like the otherwise crystal clear broadcast into just potato quality video.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just like the second I can no longer make out the main performer and their backup dancers just turn into squares on my screen, is the second I know, whoop, that one's going through.
All right.
And like, it's worked so far.
I mean, that sounds more reliable than the emoji cannon. So
yeah, because like that one will just send out just a bunch of shapes. And some of the shapes are red, and some of them are yellow, and some of them are a third color, and I can't tell which of them is the most prevalent.
There's a lot of yellow.
There's a lot of yellow.
Right
so
now.
I feel like the Norwegian people are also just like, we did not sign up for this. I laughed so hard on Saturday after listening to Pink Jacket, which is the first thing that was played, and then just checking our Twitter feed to see if you were also watching this and seeing the phrase, Norway don't send this challenge.
Yeah. That, like, so my journey with that song, well, it really kind of happened afterwards. Like, I had gone into the semifinal blind again, so I didn't know any of the history of the contestants or anything like that. Did not realize that Alexandru was the product of a boy band.
Neither did I, and that was delightful to just sit on the couch with my partner and go, Was he in like the Norwegian version of One Direction? And
yeah,
basically,
yes. The group was named Sweet, Suite, Sweet 16.
Yep.
Which gross. But it's also like, it's so, I don't know if you watch Bob's Burgers, but everything about it was just reading as Boys for Now.
Yeah.
And I could just hear Louise. Just hear Louise being like, I just want to slap him across the face.
I did just want to slap him across the face. I did the one thing I did appreciate about that song is that it did make very clear in like the opening seconds that yes, he had bought the jacket, it cost all of his money, and he has no more. But he's feeling himself.
Yeah, I mean, it really felt like a Saturday Night Live sketch in a way. Like those backing dancers were just, again, like not really giving 100%, and it's just like, what is going on with the Norwegian dance community? Like
the thing I did afterwards, during like one of the interval breaks, was I was Googling about the song because I was like, so that the song is just about a pink jacket, and found an interview with him where the message behind the song is that you don't have to be afraid to try something new that you really like. By doing that, you can also inspire others to find yourself and your style. I'm just like, oh, he's been media trained within an inch of his life. I love it.
Oh, God. All right. Well, I mean, I think the real problem with that song was just like, it was a half-baked hook, a half-baked idea, and it just didn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Other things I enjoyed during Vertigo, really enjoyed just all of a sudden there being just like a choir of ghost children.
Mm-hmm.
That just kept growing, and it was just delightful because every time the camera would cut, it's like, oh no, there's more of them.
I do not understand what this trend is, and because like it was happening at Melfest last year. It's like this is the second entry where it's happened this year in Norway, where there's like all of these little kids on the stage. It's just like, what is your plan? They're not going to let them into the venue at Rotterdam.
Rotterdam
like,
says no.
I don't want little kids at Eurovision. That's why
I mean,
don't
on
watch
the other hand, like
Eurovision.
that was that song, and then How About Mars are like the two things I've been pointing to as I'm kind of sad that there's not like an Andre Szansa round or an Andre Szansa round if you're thinking Norwegian instead of Swedish. I'm just like there are some of these songs where just by dint of the draw they got on the first round are suddenly facing one another. Where are they both super good? No. But in a situation where they were not facing one another, would they have maybe been the final matchup? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, like, and they really could have done that too, because like if they wanted to have the 5 weeks of qualifying, they could have had 4 coming out of the semifinals as they have been, and then like the 5th week would just be the second chance round with 4 other wild card entries. Although I don't know how that would be determined since there's no jury portion. If it would just go automatically to whoever was second place in the heat or what have you.
Or they could actually count up the emoji confetti and figure out who got the most hearts.
That could work. Yeah, 'cause, I mean, it's the quality of these 20 songs is not
dubious.
that high.
Has been dubious.
Yeah, dubious is a good way of describing it. And it's just like you could have cut this down to 16 and
we would have been fine. We would have been fine. Because I went back to the heat I missed and I was like, oh, I didn't miss anything in week 2 other than like How About Mars and the song that won. Anyways, we should talk about what won because it was Pray For Me, and we had the exact same joke.
Yes, although yours was much better executed, I must say.
we were in the same headspace. I was just like in the same second. This song sounded like what they stick in the promo for like a TNT legal drama where like the line over the top is like, she's a top prosecutor, but she also has a family. Yep.
And yeah, I do want to give a shout out to @DudePoints on Twitter for helping out with the casting on this.
Yeah, Dude Points.
I was thinking Olivia Wilde, but DudePoints suggested Laura San Giacomo, and that is the perfect level of celebrity right there.
Yep.
It's like, Olivia Wilde's just a little too.
Olivia Wilde's busy being a director right now. She's booked. She's booked and busy. Yeah. But no, Laura San Giacomo. Nope. She's our star.
Yes. So, congratulations, Laura. You've just been booked. So,
pray for me. She's a top DA in Chicago, but she's also has church choir.
It could happen.
Yeah. We can write that spec script, TNT.
Add us, please.
Yeah, add us, please.
Yes. Meanwhile, over in Lithuania, they had their third heat, and once again, a very quality field. Lithuania is really delivering this year.
It is. This is the first year I paid attention after a few years of going, no, that process is too long. I do not care. I suddenly care deeply.
Yes, particularly when you made the joke, the roop. No, seriously, the roop's on fire.
The roop is on fire. We don't need the water. Let the roop burn down. Anyway, and the main reason I was mostly joking about that because the band is named The Roop and their song is On Fire, but also, are more people just watching this because their vote totals were higher than the previous 2 weeks.
Yeah. If you go onto the Lithuania at Eurovision 2020 Wikipedia page, like it has all of the data from this selection process. And like week 1, vote totals were very, very low, probably because people were just like, oh, this is a 17-week process. I don't need to watch every single week. And
I'll tune in week 5 and be fine.
Yeah, and like won't miss a thing. But no, like word of mouth has been good about this year's selection because the quality has just been so high. And like they're down to their 18 semifinalists. The first semifinal of 9 is this Saturday. And leading that set is going to be my favorite entry from Saturday, which was Alligator.
Oh, I love that
Such
one.
a darling performance.
So good.
My goodness.
So good. And like the video for that one is so fun, and the live performance just captured that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the studio track is also very high quality. And yeah, my husband was also watching with me, and after the Alligator performance, he was just like, so, Vilnius 2021? And I'm just like, oh, well, I'm optimistic. I don't know if that would be the case, because, I mean, first of all, there's going to be a lot of competition. Like, it's going to be a tough semifinal. They released the running order for the first semifinal earlier on Monday. It's kind of a slugfest for a number of the entries that came out of the second heat. Only 4 of the 9 songs are going to advance. Which
only
is,
4. I would like to see Alligator in that batch. There is also Aiste's Unbreakable, which I was watching the panel after her song and a few of the other songs, and they kept mentioning Thomas G. song. I'm like, yeah, it does sound like a Thomas G. song, but it sounds like 15 of them at once. It turns out he did write that one, so apparently it's just very easy to detect his sound these days.
Yeah. I did not really care for that entry, but I can understand like why it advanced, because it is very Eurovision.
It's very Eurovision-y in a bad way.
Yeah,
I kind of would like it to not make the cut, but I suspect it might.
Yeah,
Lithuania, you can do better. You have so many more interesting things.
Yeah, but yeah, it should be an exciting semifinal, and I would recommend watching. Like Lithuania and Norway are on at the same time. I'd recommend watching Lithuania and just kind of catching Norway on the flip side. So I cannot believe that I'm saying that. Like if you had told me that was what I was going to suggest like 2 months ago,
that I was going to be real excited about Lithuania in 2020, I would have been like, how are you in my house? Go away.
Yes. Yeah. No time travelers wanted.
Thinking about the second semifinal for them, which is a week away, but we now have YYY and Drip in the same semifinal. Are those going to cancel one another out? I hope not.
Yeah, because I think those two are going to be battling for the 4th spot.
Yeah, I hope that Drip kind of wins out.
I do too.
It's a very goofy song, but it has quickly endeared itself to me.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Good job, Lithuania.
Yeah, good job, Lithuania. You have changed the conversation about you, which is to say we are having conversation about you. Coming up this week, the big one is that on Thursday, it is Wave 2 of tickets, and this time, Mike, we are going to succeed.
Yes.
If only because
so early.
They will probably show us how many tickets are available, and it won't just be like 5 of them.
This time the fan zone will be open for ticket buyers, so I recommend the fan zones unless like standing is an issue for you. And if there are standing issues or any other issues, release some very comprehensive accessibility plans for Eurovision this year, which is great to see. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like they already had wheelchair access seats available, and I believe those were available in the first wave of ticket sales, but they have accommodations for hearing impairments, visual impairments. They have a zone for people who like have social anxiety in crowds of that size to just kind of like a chill out area.
Yeah, just like a sensory overload zone, which I saw that was like, oh, good.
Yeah. And the level of thought that has gone into this contest already, and it's just like, wait, it's still January. What is this?
It's still January, and we have already designated the various accessibility zones. It's great.
Get hyped for it. But yeah, if you are buying tickets, they go on sale noon Central European time, which is 6 a.m. Eastern time in the US. I guess it's not that early, but I like my sleep bed.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I'm the one who's on the East Coast. I'm just like, okay, fine. I will wake up at 5:45 to be ready for this.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know why 5:45 sounds manageable, but 4:45 just sounds like such a slog.
Just insane. It's the exact same time.
Yeah. So
time is a flat circle, Mike.
Good luck to everybody trying to get tickets on Thursday. There should be a third wave of tickets closer to the event, but yeah, this Thursday is the main event if you want to get your tickets. Also happening on Thursday, Spain will be releasing their song Universo by Blas Canto. If we're being real, by the time you're listening to this, it is probably already leaked. So
it probably has leaked, let's be honest.
Yeah. And it's also kind of funny because I think Spain was the second song last year, and that was pretty early. Like, I think it was like the first or second week in January. They've waited until January 30th, and they're still going to be the second song of this year. They're just like, come on, guys.
Come on, Spain. You've been so good.
Yeah, a little bit about what has been revealed so far about Spain's entry. There were about 50 songs that were up for consideration before they landed on Universo. The production team includes Bright Sparks, which is kind of a ambient house duo from the UK, and the songwriter from Friend of a Friend, Czech Republic's entry last year. So I think it's going to be a pretty interesting combination. The press release about the song also mentioned that it's going to be kind of a mid-tempo piece, and they're already considering doing international versions. So the song's initially going to be in Spanish, but they're going to also do a French version and an English version. And the version that's released on Thursday may not necessarily be the final version. They've still got time to tweak.
Well, and also just knowing Spain, they love to tweak their performance right until the end.
True.
Don't do it, Spain. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Resist the urge.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Please do not put any deposits down on the big, large puppet man again.
They probably own that now. So,
yeah, good point. They probably bought that outright. In which case, hey, it's in storage, Spain. You could probably use it.
Yeah.
Spain, please stop listening to me. I have no good ideas. Melfest is back. Melfest is Sweden's 6-week-long search for what their song is going to be. And for whatever reason, this first semifinal feels very stacked. Because there are like they have released the full lineups for each of these, and there are a few where it's like, oh, some familiar names where they're like, there's usually like only 2 or 3, and knowing that 2 songs go to the final and 2 go to second chance round, that's fine. But like the first one has the Mamas, who were the backing singers for John Lundvik, Robin Bengtsson, who represented them a few years ago and should just go home and sit down, Malu Prits, who we're very excited for. And then Felix Sandman, who everybody else is excited for because he was the runner-up a few years ago, and also his song is called Boys with Emotions.
This is a little on the nose, I think.
There have been a lot of sad boys this year because of what won last year. So I guess Sweden just wants to be very explicit about it.
Sweden's gonna Sweden. I think Felix Sandman is the favorite to win overall.
He's currently the favorite because he did very well last time.
Yeah, and yeah.
But also Sweden, you could send something that's not a male soloist. Just imagine, won't you? Anyways, that is this weekend. I'm excited that is back. That one is always fun, and I feel like that one, even the stuff that does not make it out of its semifinal is fun. Or at least the stuff that doesn't make it out of its semifinal does end up in my end of year Spotify Wrapped for some reason.
And those songs should be at least trickling onto Spotify following the semifinal. They have very strict rules on the availability of songs. I think the ones that get eliminated are made available on Spotify.
Immediately on Spotify.
Yeah, and then
we should probably get some sort of preview on the SVT website this week if you're really hungry for like 30 seconds of Boys with Emotions. SVT will have you covered.
And if not the SVT app, Twitter's got your back. So let's see. Also happening on Saturday are Moldova's auditions for their shortlist. Very similar to Belarus. This time it's only 37 acts instead of 49. It was down to 36 acts for a hot second.
What do you mean 37? Because they had 36 last week.
Yeah, Che MD, who has been a participant in Moldova's process a number of times, had a song called Audio. Turns out there was a performance of it posted on YouTube back in May, and I thought it was a little weird because it was available on Spotify, and the date on it was like, wow, that's a pretty early pretty early song. I think it was after the September 1st date that was listed, but still, it was just like, strange. But yeah, that one got disqualified for just being publicly available too early. But they ended up replacing it because it is imperative that they audition 37 acts. So, pack a sandwich, everybody. Yeah, those start, I believe it's like 7 a.m. Eastern time. So,
and they will complete when all 37 acts have finished performing.
Yeah, it's going to be, I don't know, a nice warm up for the afternoon of Eurovision stuff that we'll be able to watch. Just have it playing in the background, like it's fine. And there's no word yet on like how many are going to advance. It could be like last year where they had the auditions and then all of the jurors were really, really mad that this is what we have to choose from. Ugh. So but they're trying to bounce back. They almost qualified last year, did not quite make it. So
I'm sitting here doing the math, and so if I'm being charitable, and each song takes 3 minutes to perform, plus approximately 90 seconds of setup to get the act on stage and off stage, that is just under 3 hours of performances.
All right. I guess it's not that bad. For some reason, I'm just picturing it just taking forever. But I guess they're not doing like a whole bunch of pickup shots or anything like that because it is live.
Yeah, it's
just
live.
a
It's
stationary
like
camera.
this is Studio A, and here is our camera, and here is the judges at a table, and here is the band performing.
Yes. So, good luck, everybody. All the people. So. And then the other process thing that is happening this weekend is Poland. They are doing a more formal process this year. And this will be taking place on Sunday. It's the same process that they use for Junior Eurovision. This one, they have 3 qualifying heats. But each week is just one set of contestants. There's no carryover from week to week. And they're all doing cover songs based on a theme. So there's not going to be any original music performed in these 3 qualifying heats. The first week is ABBA week. The second week will be Eurovision week. And the third week will be Beatles week. There's 7 acts performing each week, so 21 acts total. And the shows have already been recorded. The winner of each heat is going to be determined by a jury. The jury includes Eurovision alumni Cleo from 2014, Michael Spack from 2016, and Gromi from 2018. I don't know if the even numbers were intentional, but that's kind of neat. And then in terms of alumni that are performing, Albert Cherny, who was the lead singer from Lake Malawi. Man, Czech Republic's just popping up everywhere this week.
They are truly everywhere.
Yeah, he is a contestant during the third week, which is the Beatles week. So, interesting.
It feels like such a weird handful of themes.
Yeah.
Just ABBA night. Like, what would be cool is one night would be ABBA night, one night would be Celine Dion night, and the third night would be, I guess, who is the third most popular Eurovision that has enough of a back catalog? That might be hard to do. Never mind.
Yeah, it's the back catalog part that makes it tricky. But
it's Loreen night. Everyone will be performing Euphoria, and my heart is refusing me.
Yeah, Lulu. How about Lulu? But yeah, or I don't know. Like maybe having like one night be like ballads night, one night be like ethno bangers night, and then one night be I don't know, ethno jazz band Iriao. I've got nothing for that third week. Winners will be selected from each of those heats, and then the final will be an actual live show where the audience is voting, and the finalists will be performing actual Eurovision entries for the 2020 contest. So it'd be nice to have a process that's on Sundays instead of Saturdays, because Saturdays are starting to get a little
crowded. Saturdays are busy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Poland. Thank you.
Yes. And the Saturdays are just going to get busier. The first Super Saturday is just 2 weeks away.
I'm just thinking about the poor act that had like a banger of an original song, but like got sent home because they couldn't sing Waterloo well enough.
Yeah, that'll be. Oh well.
That's the format.
Yeah. But it seems to be working for them because they've used it for Junior Eurovision, and Poland's won Junior Eurovision the last 2 years. So I guess when we see it in practice, we'll know if and how it works. So.
Yes. I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Euro What. Thanks for listening. The Euro What podcast is hosted by Ben Smith, that's me, and Mike McComb.
That's me.
You can find us on our website at eurowhat.com and on Twitter and Instagram at eurowhat. We'd love to hear your comments, questions, and topics we should talk about in future episodes. You can subscribe to the Eurowhat on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcast app of your choice. Be sure to check out our Spotify playlist inspired by this episode. We'll be back next week to try and make sense of what's new in Eurovision.